Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's premier cruise-in, and you're invited to join in. Whether you're a cruiser or spectator, Tailpipes and Tacos is the place to enjoy a Lupe Tortilla breakfast tacos, fresh coffee, and mingle with Houston's fun car people. Mark your calendar for Saturday, December 19th for Tailpipes and Tacos at the Lupe Tortilla Mexican Restaurant in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m. Tailpipes and Tacos is free and everyone is invited. You'll see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all in one place. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a 3-hour friends and family event. The Lupe Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupe founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise-in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, December 19th, 8 to 11 a.m. at the Lupe's in Katy. The In Wheel Time Car Show will be there too, and you're invited to join us. We'll see you there. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at texastruckworks.com. This is the award-winning car talk show In Wheel Time, your weekly go-to all things automotive place, along with Jeffrey Zekin, David Ainsley. I'm Don Armstrong. If you're wondering about Mars and Conrad, they're both off today, off their rockers. And so, since they're not here, we can make fun of them, and they can't talk back yet.
You brought in the second string of loonies.
Yeah, the second string. Well, I don't know. They're the mainstream,
yeah,
but they're just not known worldwide yet.
You talking about us or them?
You.
Oh, okay.
All right. So we're going to move right along with the In Wheel Time Car Show, and joining us right now is one of our favorite guys. His name is Buzz Smith. Buzz, good to see you. Good to talk to you. How in the world are you?
Hey, life is good.
Oh, you got somebody sitting there next to you.
Right. Hi. Yep, this is Charles Mills. He was the navigator on the trip. I took him with me because Charles has been driving pure EVs for quite a while, where I've been in plug-in hybrids, and I just thought it'd be fun. Also, he does a lot of video work with me, and he's a good friend of mine. We thought we'd have a blast, and we did.
And we did. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Well, I heard that there was some sort of a dust-up with WFAA television up there, and I need to know all about that.
Okay, well, I don't want to slam the guys, but they did.
No, let's slam the guys.
Yeah, you got to.
We want to hear it. We want to hear it down and dirty. Okay. Because we're going to actually take this video and send it to them and say, there you go. See, Buzz does have a friend down here in Houston, Texas. Not so much up there in the DFW area.
We're trying to get him on for next week.
Oh, really? Cool.
No, we're just teasing. No, let it rip. What happened?
Okay, and I don't know if they broadcast this or if it was just on their website, but they have a regular occurring column called Verify, and this one was Verify, are EVs ready for the epic Texas road trip? And they did a trip from Dallas-Fort Worth to Austin to Houston and back again, and it took them 20 hours, and they stopped 7 times for recharging. And at the end of it, the two guys, he had a navigator with him too, and the two guys high-fived each other and laughed and said, let's never do that again. And I thought, you're kidding me. It's fun to go across the country in an EV. And so Charles and I talked about it, and we decided, you know what, we're going to go show that it can be done faster with fewer stops. And the original goal was we were going to stop only twice. We did stop for a short 30-minute charge for a third time. And we'll talk about that as we go along. I think it was, remember range anxiety from my last trip?
Oh, I remember range. Oh, I remember range anxiety like it was yesterday.
I knew you would.
Yeah, exactly. But that's beside the point. So these guys didn't consult with you. They didn't call you and say, "Hey, let's ride along." No, they did it. They did it on their own.
Yeah, and I got the impression that probably neither of them had ever driven an EV before. They were in a borrowed Bolt EV, and we used the same vehicle ourselves. We took a Bolt EV on the trip. In all fairness, we had the 2020 model, which has 21 more miles of range per charge. So they, they were at a slight disadvantage there. But yeah, it was obvious that they just hadn't done this before. And I don't want to say they didn't know what they were doing, but they were less than informed. Let's say it that way.
I think you just did.
Yeah, I have to tell you that because I before I knew you, I was probably like them, and I think that most people are like that. They just don't know. And I think with an EV, if you're going to take a road trip with it, I mean, you know what you got when you're around town. But what you don't have, the variable here, is getting out on the road, and that can actually, throw a wrench in the works if you're not prepared.
And the disconnect to that is you're so used to a combustion of a gas vehicle, and you think that's what it is when you get into an EV.
Yes.
So there's no preparation. You're misinformed, or you're not informed enough to do that.
Actually, they overreacted. They were stopping every 140 miles to charge, even though the car they were in had 238 miles of range.
Well, why would you do that, though? I don't understand.
I think just they were overly cautious. They were concerned about, where will I charge? The typical newbie things, which is why I even exist. As I'm out there trying to get the newbies up to speed, so they'll realize they can just take a deep breath and enjoy the ride.
Well, and I also think you don't know if it's actually going to be accurate. You kind of, is it really going to give me that many more miles, or do I need to pull over and take care of it now, kind of thing?
Wow. So let me ask you this: what do you personally consider a time that you shoot for? I mean, you must leave a little bit of reserve in there, because there is a little bit of variable, getting on freeways or getting stuck in traffic or that sort of thing. So what is your general rule of thumb as far as extra juice in the battery?
Well, I always fill the battery up completely. I don't worry about extra juice, but there's a constant readout on the display that tells you how many miles you're getting per kilowatt hour and how many miles you have left to go.
How accurate is it?
Very accurate.
It is, okay.
Yeah. Now the changes in, like if you went to Colorado and you're going uphill, that's going to change, and you're going to see it update fairly quickly. Changes in temperature, if you're really blasting the heater, that can affect your range, and it'll update immediately. But what I discovered on the last trip was, once I understood the range for the current conditions I was driving in, it was incredibly accurate. And I'm talking about plus or minus 5 miles accurate, very accurate.
Wow. So when you go, so you start off with a full charge in the battery. You have a destination for the next stop that you have to make to recharge. How much is left in the battery when you do that?
When we charged, or when we stopped for that last charge, we had 2 miles left in the battery.
Well, I like the wild side a little bit. I'm a little more cautious, but yeah.
I don't know if I'd say like to live on the wild side. In this case, we were forced to live on the wild side.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, typically, would you really try to have like 10, 15, 20 miles left in the battery when you stop?
I normally shoot for 20 miles. In fact, on this trip, one of the things that happened was our first stop was going to be in Austin, and we were going to have 50 to 60 miles left over. But the next charging spot was going to be so far on the way to Houston that we couldn't make it on the original charge. So sometimes you just stop because you have to, because the infrastructure isn't all complete yet. There is quite a bit of it, but it's just not rolled out like it's going to be.
So did you use 71 or I-10? How did you get from Houston to Austin?
71.
Yeah, 71 down to I-10 and over.
So did you stop like in Ellinger or something to give it a little boost, or what?
No, we went from Austin to Houston, and then to the northern. Well, you're from Houston to Spring,
Okay.
and we stopped in Spring. Originally, our plan was to make it all the way to Huntsville, but we were going 65, 75 miles all day, and with that impacts range as well. So we weren't going to make it to Huntsville, which is why we did have to make that third stop.
Is there a maximum, shall we say, throttle position or speed on a flat surface that is really kind of optimum to get the most out of the battery, other than 5 miles an hour?
Well, that was what I was going to say. At stop and go traffic, you might get 350 miles of range. But if you're around 60 to 65 miles an hour, that seems to be a really good compromise for freeway speeds and driving. And we had 3 GoPro cameras up in the car, 2 of them facing us, because we were going to use the trip to create educational videos to explain to people, all of the different ways you can extend your range. Overinflating the tires a little bit helps your range. Drafting behind large semis actually will help your range. Changing the air conditioning and heating system to automatic so that you're not constantly, a lot of people just turn up the fan, turn down the fan, but they leave the heat running all the time. Well, in an EV, you don't do that. You set it on automatic and let it determine based on the temperature you'd like when to turn on, when to turn off to get maximum range. And early in the trip, we talked about all these things. And then late in the trip, we actually had to employ all those strategies in order to make it to that final charge.
Do electric vehicles have cruise control?
Yes. In fact, my Volt, which is a plug-in hybrid, has adaptive cruise control. I wish the Bolt EV had that, but it does have regular cruise control.
I got a question. You got 4 spinning tires. Why don't you have an alternator to charge the batteries up while you're going, not having the braking part that charges it when you brake?
Well, that would be a question that Buzz could answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and I can barely hear you, but I understand what you're saying. One, you don't want that running all the time that you're driving because it would increase the drag. You can't generate electricity for free. It's coming from somewhere. And so that resistance would increase the drag, which would decrease your range. And with regenerative braking, you don't actually have to put your foot on the brake. The Bolt EV has 4 different settings for different amounts of regen, and I always go for the maximum so that when I let off the accelerator, it's similar to a golf cart. It'll come to a complete stop, just not an emergency stop, and generate the maximum amount of electricity. And that's one of the other strategies I use to increase my range.
Yeah, that's one pedal driving. So you take your foot off the gas, and it'll slow down to a stop. So
interesting. So you've done your homework on this, I could tell, Buzz.
Who, Buzz doesn't know it? Yeah.
Well, we actually, both of us have lived this life for quite a while. I mean, it's I'll never go back to a gas car, guys. It's that much fun. And earlier I was listening, Don, when you were talking about electric vehicles. It has nothing to do with the price of gas. For some people it may, but even with gas down to $1.79 a gallon, people like me are never, once you've got the experience, you're never going to go back to a gas car, no matter how cheap gas gets, because it's a better driving experience. One of the things that you notice is the drop off of road fatigue. It used to be just driving to Houston to my mom's house, about 4.5 hours. And I had a Ford Expedition at one point. And, the constant jostling, the constant engine noise, by the time I got there, I just felt drained. And this electric car, we were 17.5 hours on the road, and we got home, and it just felt great. I wasn't worn out at all.
I got a suggestion. The next time you do a trip like this, take Don with you.
Yeah, that's it. Throw me in the trunk. Hey,
I'd love it. Anytime you're ready, let me know, and I'll find a dealer to loan us a nice EV.
All right. Well, I'll keep that in mind. How's that? At least you got that out of me. All right. So I want to
make you drive too. You'll earn your keep.
All right. That's I'm sure I will. So I want to know how excited you are with all of these manufacturers coming online, traditional manufacturers, and all of these newbies that are now building EVs or going to be building EVs here in the next couple of years. I mean, you've got to be giddy with excitement.
Yeah.
I am, but there's a little bit of jaded feeling too. You hear of a lot of these companies coming out and then they never actually produce a product. It's all, smoke and mirrors. The other thing that I find frustrating, and I used to sell Chevrolet vehicles, so this is a little hard, but the Hummer is going to be an unbelievable EV, but the one they're going to produce in the beginning, they're going to produce only the top of the line, and it's a $113,000 truck. I want vehicles that the masses can get into, because that's when we'll make a big difference. And so I love the Chevy Bolt EV. You mentioned the Hyundai or the Kia Niro earlier, the Hyundai Kona. All three of those are excellent small SUVs that I always thought I would get a 2-seat convertible Roadster whenever one became available in my price range, and I don't see that anymore. I think that my wife and I have really gotten into camping, and the experience we had with the small SUV form factor, that's probably what I'll end up getting.
Really?
Yeah.
On one hand, it surprises me. On the other hand, it does not, because I know that, you are the evangelist after all. So, I kind of admire you in some sort of twisted way. My old combustion engine ways. It's still a little bit different for me, but I understand that mileage on these EVs continues to increase as far as range is concerned. And I think that I don't know, was it Tesla? Somebody's coming out with 400 miles now. I just read that this week. I don't recall which one it was. I'm sure that you know.
Yeah, but believe it or not, we've got enough range now. And do you ever go out and buy a vehicle just so you can get a 150-gallon gas tank? No, you'll just, stop when you need to. And if the cost of that gas tank was like having a battery that big, you wouldn't do it. No matter what, no matter what. And in the case of EVs, we can drive the price way up and give you 1,000 miles of range, but you're going to be carrying around a 2,500-pound battery that costs you $30,000. At 250 miles of range, to me, that's a sweet spot, but the general public hasn't been clued into this yet. They're still thinking they need a 400, 500-mile range battery, and they just don't.
Well, I think part of that has to do with, and we'll go back to my other question, is with the range anxiety thing, and how much juice you've got left in the battery when it's time to start looking for a recharge station. I mean, what do you do? So we're all programmed to, when we've got a quarter of a tank, it's time to start looking for a gas station, and that's where my mentality is.
That was
and so, when you say that it's got 400-mile range, okay, now I've got a little cushion that I can go from here to Dallas and have some left over and not have to worry about it. You follow the philosophy there, don't you?
Yeah, but is that range buffer worth $7,000 to you?
No.
For something that you're going to use maybe once or twice a year. Yeah, it's absolutely not. And so what is more important is that in an EV today, because the charging infrastructure is just being rolled out, and it's being rolled out quickly, you plan ahead. Like this trip, I didn't just say, we'll just stop wherever we want and plug in. No, you need to know where the chargers are. And so there are apps for that on your smartphone. You can do the research on your computer ahead of time. So we had in Austin 3 different sites that we could charge at in case some of them were already being occupied. There was one that had 13 chargers, so that was my fallback that I could charge there. In Houston, we had 2 different sites in Spring and one in Huntsville that we were going to stop at. So we knew that we had alternatives if it came down to that. And the 259 miles of range was more than sufficient to do what we needed to do.
Now, you had mentioned that you always charge the battery up to its capacity. So if you got a 250-mile range and you use 100 miles of that, you've got 150 left. Do you park it overnight without a charge, or do you automatically plug it into the charge even though you're not going to use it for another day or so? And is it like a cell phone where you have to let it drain down all the way to get the full capacity charge?
Well, today's cell phones, you don't have to drain them down all the way because they have lithium-ion batteries, not the old NiCad days. Same thing with the cars. You don't have to plug them in all the time. Now, those of us with houses, we'll tell you that if the car's parked, it's plugged in. Why not leave home every day with a full tank of gas, so to speak?
So there's no other discharge. It's not like you're going to lose any juice, so to speak, by just letting it sit.
The car does monitor the battery 24 hours a day, so it is using some energy to run the computers on board. It also, if it gets too cold, it'll heat the battery up. If it gets too hot in the middle of the night, fans will turn on to cool the battery down. So it's always monitoring the battery and keeping it in the right temperature range, which uses some energy. Now, the cool thing about the new electric vehicles with 250-mile plus range is that people that got left out of the EV revolution before, apartment dwellers, couldn't get an EV that had 80 miles of range, because then every night they're having to go find some place to charge when they get off work. Now they can think of it like you do, filling up your gas car. You don't top off the gas tank every day on the way home. You fill up about once every 5 to 7 days. People in apartments now can do that with electric cars and just look for a DC fast charger once a week that's in their neighborhood. Hopefully, at a movie theater, at a shopping mall, at their grocery store. Whole Foods has chargers available, and just charge once a week.
Buzz, does Buc-ee's have chargers?
No, we actually.
No, they don't. I really wanted to go. We were just kind of driving around counting the gas station, all the gas stations they have. It would be really awesome if they did have chargers.
Have you talked to them, and why not? Why don't they have EV charging stations?
Well, at this point in the infrastructure rollout, they have to prioritize where high voltage is easily available. And
my God, the size of the Buc-ee's has got to have at least 10 million gigavolts going in there.
I think so, yeah.
Gigavolts.
And I do think eventually you'll see something like that. And the Texas Electric Transportation Resources Alliance, TxETRA, is actually lobbying places like Buc-ee's to install chargers. But everywhere we went, you see the billboards for Buc-ee's, and Charles kept saying, we got to stop at a Buc-ee's. And so we did end up driving through a Buc-ee's, and
you got you a bag of beaver nuggets like we all did.
That's right.
He did, actually, exactly that. He got beaver nuggets.
What's going to happen when you get all these electric vehicles out there and everybody's got to charge at the same time and they take 15 to 30 minutes or whatever? Is there going to be a line of people waiting to charge their cars?
OPEC.
Not if they have as many chargers as Buc-ee's has gas stations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's one Buc-ee's that's got like 100 pumps or something like that. It's nuts. But, I guess it would be the same thing as going to a Buc-ee's where you fill up the car, then you leave it at the gas pump, lock the car, and go in for 30 minutes shopping for your beaver nuggets and get yourself a hot dog and a drink.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In fact, on this trip, one thing we did was we had planned our departure time so that we would get to Austin about an hour before everybody gets out of church, so we could hit the restaurants before everybody else did. And so we planned a lunch break. And then our next stop in spring, if it had been spring or Huntsville, we were going to have dinner at that point, which is what we did. And so it's not like, and that's another thing that WFAA, David Schechter is the reporter, they sat in the car, obviously bored to death, while this thing's charging.
Who does that?
We went to a restaurant and we had a meal, and by the time we got back to the car, it's charged and ready to go. So, I just don't. I just felt that article was portraying EVs in such a bad light that I just couldn't sit there. You know me, I had to speak up.
Did you call the news director and complain?
No, I posted on my blog, on Twitter, on Facebook, and had hashtags for WFAA and verifying all that. But nobody responded.
Comments yet. No comments.
Yeah.
No.
It's been pretty silent.
I was going to say, because I would think that the hate mail would have been pouring in over there.
Sounds like fake news.
Fake news. That's what it is.
Oh!
Hey, you said it.
We didn't. We meant it. So, well, listen, gentlemen, it's great to talk to you guys, and another road trip under the belt. What's the plan next?
I don't know yet. One of the things I would like to do, because I used to sell Chevys and have a relationship with that Chevy dealer, I've always taken the Bolt EV on a trip. The next thing I'd like to do is start showing other EVs that can do the same thing and do more trips. I would like to do a trip to Colorado from, Dallas-Fort Worth to, say, Estes Park, Colorado, because once you get to Estes Park, Colorado, I don't think there are any DC fast chargers. There's only level 2 chargers, which are slower. But again, you go shopping, walk around, take a hike maybe, and then come back and the car's charged. So I'd like to do something more challenging than what it's pretty easy to drive 600-700 miles in Texas in an EV. It gets a little more difficult when you're going to Colorado and doing a lot of uphill stuff.
Well, Buzz, I don't know about you, but I've had a lot of people tell me through my lifetime to go take a hike.
So, Buzz, what you're saying is you're going to get other manufacturers besides the General Motors product to do this?
Yeah. I want everybody to see that there's not just one choice out there. There are a lot of great choices. And in the case of the Bolt EV, there are two competitors that are very similar cars, the Kia Niro and the Hyundai Kona, although the Hyundai Kona is not sold in Texas yet. But as these things start to become more common, I want people to realize there's a plethora of cars out there that you can get that will do these drives that are fun to drive. They all have the same kind of driving profile, great acceleration off the line, absolute silence when they're operating, and it's just a hoot. Now, I've never wanted a pickup truck in my life, even though I'm born and raised in Texas. I'm not a pickup guy, but the Tesla Cybertruck, that thing's awesome looking. It looks sort of like a Mars rover. And admittedly, the Hummer EV and the eventual the Hummer EV and the eventual Chevrolet pickup truck, and there's just artist renderings of those so far. I think those are going to be great possibilities. And you'd mentioned the new stuff coming online. The Rivian, a friend of mine already has a deposit on a Rivian. He should get one of the early ones that comes out. Rivian and Badger and Lordstown, if they ever come to market. I think there's going to be a lot of great pickup trucks for people to choose from. There's going to be large SUVs, sort of like we've already got the e-tron out there, which is a full-size SUV that would be awesome to take on a road trip. It's out of my price range, but I would if you're out there, Audi, and you want somebody to show how great your e-tron is, give me a call.
We'll give you a plug with our connections over there at Audi.
Shocking.
Shocking. Yeah, exactly. Gentlemen, thank you. Buzz, it's always a pleasure. I really appreciate you taking the time. Have yourself a rest of your Thanksgiving weekend and enjoy yourself. And you stay in touch with us now and keep us posted on all of your travails.
Oh, I will, bud.
All right, man. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Buzz Smith, the EV-angelist. Yeah. This week in auto history. Jeffrey's got that for us.
Okay. I'm going to pull it up here in just a second.
Do you have video?
I do. Well, I've got some
pictures?
still shots.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I've got some still shots. Just a little
You
unprepared.
weren't ready, were you?
No, not at all.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to catch you off guard.
That's
You
okay.
want to wait till later?
You got time? You want to close the hour? Or?
I'll do whatever you want to do.
Okay. Well, I can pull it up. It's probably.
No, I'll tell you what. You just hang on to that, and we'll squeeze that in here shortly. Okay.
All righty.
Okay, because I do have a couple of stories that I wanted to get in before the top of the hour.
Okay.
Well, at least one of them. Denso Corporation. You familiar with Denso? Is adding more than 1.5 million fuel pumps to an earlier recall because of a defect that may cause the fuel pumps to stop working, potentially causing a stall or risking a crash. In total, about 3.53 million fuel pumps are being recalled. Now, fuel pump, you're not going to just go and say, oh, well, let's just take that fuel pump back. Most of them are in the gas tank.
Yep. And most of them fail with a full tank.
Automakers that have purchased the defective parts for possible use or installation in their vehicles include American Honda, Ford Motor, Subaru of America, Toyota Motor North America, and Mitsubishi Motors North America. By the way, Denso is affiliated with Toyota.
Yep.
Whoops. We've had a little failure of our fuel pumps. Not good. Not good. 3.5. So, if your car has one and it gets recalled, then you will find that information on a thing called safercar.gov, and it will ask you to put in your VIN, your vehicle identification number. So the way that you do that is you open up your wallet and pull out your insurance card.
That's
and
right.
on the insurance card will be the VIN number of your car if you haven't stolen it or something. There'll be the VIN number on there, and you just type that in, and boom, it will come up with whatever recalls for your particular car.
Now, Denso makes more than just the pumps. They make other products as well. They're sold aftermarket.
Yes, correct. Well, I'm glad that you kind of snuck that in on us. But thank you. All right. Well, that is it for this hour of the In Wheel Time Car Show. Hour number 2 starts after a quick break. Stay with us.
Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's premier cruise-in, and you're invited to join in. Whether you're a cruiser or spectator, Tailpipes and Tacos is the place to enjoy a Lupi Tortilla breakfast tacos, fresh coffee, and mingle with Houston's fun car people. Mark your calendar for Saturday, December 19th for Tailpipes and Tacos at the Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m. Tailpipes and Tacos is free and everyone is invited. You'll see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all in one place. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a 3-hour friends and family event. The Lupi Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Lupi founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise-in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, December 19th, 8 to 11 a.m. at the Lupi's in Katy. The In Wheel Time Car Show will be there too, and you're invited to join us. We'll see you there. Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild to wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com.